Good evening, Hawks fans, and welcome back to the Atlanta Sports District. At this point, normally you hear your host is Russell Spence. Well, obviously, I'm not Russell Spence. There's no time warp or anything that's caused me to age. Russell's under the weather, and you know how under the weather he must be because he loves this podcast. So for tonight, you have the old man. And I'm coming to you directly after a 124 to 122 win against the Memphis Grizzlies. Fantastic win, great. So good to have one of those. We've waited a while to get one of that win. We haven't had in a long time, and we are so good to do that, even if it is against the dumpster fire that is the Memphis Grizzlies. All wins are good, especially wins on the road, and they're especially sweet when they're close and you really overcame something to win. As we look at tonight, we see that for most of the night, I think we played better defense. We learned a lesson. Somebody got the memo. C.J. McCollum, you put in the game, you give him 31% usage rate, and Jalen Johnson a 22% usage rate. You're probably going to lose that basketball game. So somebody got the memo and put him not so much on the court, not so much with the usage. He still did some worthwhile things, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But we didn't have to deal with all C.J. and no J.J. on the offensive side of that. And we played better defense, generally speaking. There were some lineups that were kind of iffy on the defensive end. We did play into our size some, and we played two guys that are basically 7 feet tall. That was fantastic. And, when we're talking about 7 feet tall, we said we got these two guys that are basically 7 feet tall. We got Jalen Johnson, who they say he's 6'8", but he's taller than everybody I see him stand next to. So I think he's a little short on that measure. And so we got some good size, and we leaned into that. We played pretty good defense. We had a lead at the halftime that we kind of let get back, and we lost the third quarter, and I was concerned about that because, here we go again kind of thing. We're about to throw away another game and figure out another way to lose. That's a problem with teams that are not great winning teams. They don't figure out a way to win, they figure out a way to lose. And that's what we've been doing the last few games, and that's what we had the losing streak, and we had a couple of wins, and we had another losing streak, and it's just been finding ways to lose and finding ways to lose. Well, the great thing is tonight, we found a way to win, and that was, as Russell's been saying, leaning into our defense and leaning into our size. As a matter of fact, we've been getting cleaned up all year long on the glass. I mean, we have lost by 20 rebounds. We've lost by 25 rebounds. We've lost by 16 rebounds. Tonight, it was 43 to 42. We lost the rebound battle by 1. But that is winning the rebound battle for us because we are so good when we can get the rebound, get in transition, do some things, and score that way. And when we're rebounding the ball, when we're playing into our defense, and when we're using our size, again, which we did tonight, we were a large team out there tonight. We're not playing short of their position and all that kind of thing. And that was fantastic as we did that. As I said, we were looking there at the game, and we looked at one another and said, how are we losing at one point? How are we losing this team? We should be blowing them out. So we should have won bigger, but a win's a win, as I said, even if against not a very good team. Was a win on the road, and we just thank goodness for that. And then we move forward in this. So as we think about this and we look at it, we're going to talk about it. We talk about the individual players. We're going to talk about some things that they added, and some people that have got to start playing better because they don't. They're not going to be playing very much at all, I don't think, because like I said, the memo is definitely going around. So we got the memo on CJ, so some other folks too. So now let's go to the individual players, and the first one I want to look at is Beat Kretzky. Beat Kretzky played 11 minutes, 7 points, 2 of 3 from 3, 2 of 3 from floor, 1 of 1 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. He was +8. Now that looks really good, +8. It looks great, but Beat had a better game. But let's face it, let's talk about Beat for a minute. Now Beat has got to shoot the ball well and shoot the ball more. If he's not shooting it very, very well, he doesn't need, that 0 for 6 the other night, or wow, 0 for 6 from 3, and all of his shots are coming from 3 and all that. If he's not shooting the ball well, then he doesn't need to shoot as much. But if he shoots some, he's got to shoot the ball more. And you say, well, why do you say that, old man? Well, the reason I say it is this. He's got some length, but he's not very good on defense. He's not good at moving his feet. His lateral quickness is lacking. He is long. I love it when he picks somebody up 94 feet. I think that's what he does best. Put him back there and say, don't foul, and make him work getting the ball across half court. But when he get into the defensive game, if he only shoots the ball 3 times, only has 1 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, even though he's +8, that's great. But he played 11 minutes, and those 11 minutes on defense are not very good. So if he's going to add something to this team, if he's going to continue to play, I mean, we brought in the 2 guys in the trade and all that, and Beat's got to work for his minutes. And if he doesn't start shooting better and playing better and doing some things, because he's not going to be a great defender. He can give effort on defense. Like I said, he's got some length, but he's not going to be a great defender. As long as that's the case, then what we have to do is make sure that he is optimized on the offense. And so when he's not shooting the ball, he's not shooting well, not shooting much, it's a hard time. That's why he had 11 minutes tonight. I mean, he went from starting some games to now playing just 11 minutes. Now, as we move forward, Koloko, I like that name, don't you? Koloko, the way that goes. He played 11 minutes, had 5 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. I didn't know he shot threes. I said it was his first one this year. I'm sure the Griz were like, oh, great, he hit his 1 3 against us. But he shot that. He had a rebound, a steal, and a block. It seemed like to me he did a lot more than that, but he was +7. And, you know, I said this, he was playing good defense, not great defense, but he was defending the rim. And he was rebounding the basketball, knocking the ball, not grabbing all the rebounds, but knocking them around so we get rebounds, defending the rim. If they come in there and they have to adjust the shot or move the shot or try to figure out how to deal with him, and that's where he is going to make his money in the NBA. If he continues to stay in the NBA, it's going to be right there at the basket defending the rim, because he showed he had a good take on that, and he did get 11 minutes and was a big help. He was part of that, one of those 7-footers that we could lean into as we leaned into our size and leaned into our defense, and I thought he played very well. Mo Gay, as we move forward, had 18 minutes, 7 points, 3 of 7 shooting. Now, you may think I'm a little bit off of it here, but I think that's good. I think Mo needs to shoot more. I think Mo needs to be more dynamic on offense. Now, there's some things he can do. He can shoot that corner 3. He can do some things in and around the basket that are dynamic for that. He was 1 of 4 from 3, and he got to do a little better than that, but he had 1 rebound, 2 assists. He was his plus or minus was 0, but that's okay because he settles the defense. And when he's in there, he's the other 7-foot guy that can be in there and settle that out. Everybody feels more comfortable. Jalen plays so much better when Mo is on the floor on defense, because Jalen's like, well, all I have to do is play the dunker spot. All I have to do is be the low man. All I have to do that is cover what I know I can do and what I'm really great at with my athleticism, and Mo's going to run around trying to do everything. And he does a very good job of it. But now when he's not out there and Jalen's trying to run around, it doesn't work as well. So Mo settles us on defense. That's what he does. And he is so good at that, and it's really, really, really nice. Okay, now C.J. McCollum, as I said, I started out, he had too high of a usage rate, and he had been playing too many minutes. We were playing him as coming off the bench. We were playing him like he was a starter. And well, we all saw at the end of that last game how that last possession looked, and what that was. That was just him saying, I'm not going to pass this ball regardless of how I'm defending, regardless of what happens. He can't play like that. And if he can't stop playing like that, then he can't be played. You can't put him out there if he's going to do that. But tonight he had 26 minutes, 15 points. But now, this is the important thing we got to understand. 15 points, but he was 6 of 14 from the field. Now, let me tell you something about the way this works. Part of the justification, the reason I didn't agree with it, I just don't think they should have traded Trae Young, but part of the justification was we have a ball-centric guard who is not always efficient, who doesn't play good defense. And so we're going to move him out of the way so Jalen Johnson can take over the team. Now, what we did when we moved him out of the way then was brought C.J. McCollum in to stand in the way and be a ball-centric guard who's not always efficient and plays every bit as bad, if not worse, than Trae did on defense. And that's where, that's up to Quinn Snyder. He's got to make sure and get him in his ear and say, you cannot do that. We have this, we're going to give the ball to Jalen, and you're going to be a rotation player. You're going to be a guy who helps us with some offense, who helps us do some things, but that we're not counting on to be the point guard of this team and to have a 33% usage rate. We're not counting on that. So as I said, not very efficient, 6 out of 14. He had 6 assists, 1 turnover, no rebounds. He did have 2 steals and 1 block. He was 3 out of 7 for 3. He was +5. He was fine because he didn't try to do too much, because he didn't have the ball too much, because he was not a ball hog, so to speak. He wasn't doing that. He was willing pass. He, like I said, 6 assists. That's a willing passer. And that if he does that and plays 26 minutes a night and is +5 in his minutes, I'm okay with that. But it's when he tries to take the game over, which is not what he's here to do, That's when we see it be a negative on his part. Now, the last of our guys who came off the bench was Luke Kennard. He played 25 minutes. Now, Luke, if you are aggressive and you shoot and you score, you're going to play some minutes. If you're not, we can't afford to have you out there. But tonight was one of those nights, and it was fantastic. 18 points, 7 of 9 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, and that includes hitting his first 4. He missed his last 2, but hit his first 4. He had 4 rebounds and 2 assists. He did have 3 fouls, but he had 2 assists. He was +5. Now, see, when Luke is playing like this, it overcomes the fact that he's a bad defender. He's small, he's a little short, he's not really athletic, but he can shoot. But the problem is sometimes he'll take 1 shot or 2 shots, 3 shots. We can't afford to have you out there if you're going to do that. He even mentioned it in the post-game interview. He said, well, it was aggressive. Well, that's what's that. And I know they've been in his ear. Somebody's going to say, they're getting the memo. They're understanding that he has got to be aggressive shooting the basketball if he's going to be worth playing him on defense. So tonight, 18 points +5, that is fantastic. That is wonderful. We'll take that every night. But now if he reverts back and goes back to this guy who refuses to shoot and just wants to stand out there and not really accomplish anything, get some cardio on the offensive end, that's not going to work when it comes time for him to play defense, because he is not ever going to be a good defender. But tonight, he was 5 points better on offense than he was bad on defense, and that's very good. Now, as we go into our starters, I want to talk about Corey Kispert. Now, I like Corey a lot. He played 14 minutes. Now, I'll say the same thing to him that I got through saying about Kennard. If you want to play a lot of minutes, then make yourself useful on offense. Now, he gives effort on defense. He's got pretty good size. He's not a terrible defender, but he doesn't provide you enough on defense for that be the reason to give him minutes. He had 8 points. He was 3 out of 5 from the field. He was 2 for 4 from 3. Maybe he didn't shoot enough. I don't know. He had 1 rebound, 2 assists. He was -11. Team low, -11 in his minutes. Now, that all happened, and this really warped his minutes. At the beginning of the game, if you remember, I think it was 12-1 that they ran out. Guess what that is? That's -11, right? So for the rest of the time, when he was in there, he played even. But this really messed him up, and it makes it look bad. He's another one. You're going to have to shoot, and you have to make shots to make up for the fact that you're okay. You're not great. You're not terrible, but you're not gonna make money in the NBA defending people. That's not what you're going to do. You got to make shots, and you've got to make sure that your offensive output overcomes your defensive inefficiency. So if he can do that, like I said, it's not only 14 minutes. 14 minutes. Well, like I said, -11 at the beginning was a rough start. Now, Dyson Daniels. Dyson, I think sometimes I don't understand. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. 35 minutes, 3 points. Three. Now, he was 1 of 9 from the field, did not attempt a 3, thank God. That's all I got to say about that. Have you all seen the way he shoots threes? He needs to get in the gym and get to work. The ball's too flat. The ball's off to the left. The ball's off to the right. Oh, my goodness. It's everywhere. So he needs to get in the gym. He needs to work. But I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, 1 of 9 from the field when you don't shoot threes means you are 1 of 9 from the field shooting in the paint, basically, because he also doesn't shoot 10 or 12-foot jump shots. That's not what he does. And that is just not good enough. Now, he did have 7 rebounds. He did have 8 assists. He didn't have a steal or a block, but he's another one of those guys. Y'all know how great he is on defense. He should have been the defensive player of the year last year. We all know that. But he was -2 in the game. But that's because he's right the opposite of these other guys we've been talking about. He literally has to make sure that his defensive greatness overcomes his offensive inefficiency. But he has got to shoot better than 1 of 9 from where he shoots the basketball. And free throw shooting, don't even get me started. He has got to get, I would get in the gym and I would shoot, I don't know how many free throws. He needs to shoot 100 free throws at a time. It's over and over and over and over again until he gets where he can at least do better than he's doing now. See, he's got to shoot in the 70s. If you are a guard in the NBA and you've got the ball in your hand and you want to finish games for teams that are trying to win, you've got to be able to make 70 to 75% of your free throws at a bare minimum. Can't do that, they can't afford to play you because they'll just hack a Dyson and send you to the rim where you're going to miss, and then we lose whatever lead we had, even though you're this great defender. So he played great on defense. His defense was 2 points better than his offense was bad. But he's got to shoot better than 1 of 9 from where he shoots. Like I said, he probably didn't take a shot further back than 6 or 7 feet from the basket all night long. As a matter of fact, he had 2 dunks that were run down blocked. He's got to be stronger than that. Got to put that ball through there. That's an and one if you put it through the rim. Okay. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 33 minutes, 11 points. This is kind of an anomaly for Nickeil on offense. 3 of 11 shooting, not very efficient. 2 of 9 from 3. Now, you know what's amazing about him? And I said this during the game. When it goes in, it's the most beautiful looking thing I've ever seen. When it doesn't, it doesn't. So there you go. But 2 of 9. I love the way, I say somebody has a quiet 25, quiet 28. He has a loud 11. Because, 2 of 9. When I looked at that, I thought, is that right? Is that possible? Seemed like he hit 4 or 5 threes. Well, no, he didn't. He hit 2. And he only had 11 points. But that's okay because he does play great defense also. Now, he had 2 rebounds. He had 4 assists and 2 turnovers. A 2-to-1 assist turnover. That's not so bad. 1 steal, 2 blocks. He was +1. He is always going to give you both. He's a good player. He had a kind of off night on offense. He's a good player on offense. Really good player on defense. When he doesn't try to have the ball too much, when he doesn't try to shoot contested shots and do these crazy twirling things at the rim and all that, he is an amazing player who helps us win basketball games. And he shows that with the number of minutes he plays and the fact that he's starting and he's playing really good. And the uptick that he's had from his career numbers to this year, it's like the second all time for one year to the next for players and all that kind of stuff. Very important that we have on the court. Very important that we have him playing offense and defense. He plays better on offense than he did tonight. Offense, defense, very good. And +1 even with all that. Now, Onyeka Okongwu, 28 minutes, 18 points. 6 of 10 shooting, 4 from 8 for 3. I think that's pretty efficient. 9 rebounds, good rebounding. 1 assist, 7 turnovers. 7 turnovers. Now, for some reason tonight, he was in love with trying to make a pass into a small area. He made a couple of those things where we basically got a basket. We got somebody breaking, we got somebody back cutting, and he tries to put it in there in a very small area. Maybe it was a little late getting it there or something, and the area closed, and he hit 7 turnovers, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He was -3, played fine, but he fouled out. Now, of course, sometimes he gets a bad whistle, and I understand that, but he fouled out. We can't have that. Wilt Chamberlain played his whole career, never fouled out of a game, and he fouled out tonight. We 6 foul. We can't have that, especially offensive foul with 3 minutes left in the game to get him to foul out. Now, of course, you can argue, was it an offensive foul or not? We challenged it. It held up, however you want to look at it, but he should be more careful in his fouls, and we should watch out for him. But now I will say, 9 rebounds is a good night for him. He's a very small, he's tall man. In the world, if you were to meet him, you go, wow, he's a tall guy. But as a center, he's really short. And a lot of times these other centers are playing against it, like shooting over a chair, like you talked about it. He is so small. He's like a velociraptor jumping on the back of a T-Rex. He's very small. And so 9 rebounds is good for him. And then lastly, Jalen Johnson. Now, Jalen played 39 minutes. Jalen played 40 minutes last game, and 39 in this one. I like him a lot. We really drop off when he goes off the court, and that's a big problem because he's playing so many minutes. Now, he needs to play a lot of minutes, but playing so many, I worry because of his injury history and all that kind of stuff. He played 39 minutes, 32 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists. Now, he had 4 turnovers, but he had a high usage and a 2-to-1. Again, assist to turnovers, okay. He was 10 of 21 from the field, so 32 points, 21 shots, pretty efficient. 2 of 6 from 3. That can do a little better, but Jalen's kind of streaky with the shooting. It's looking much better this year. Last year, his shot was just broken. Well, this year, he just misses some shots, but they look good coming out of his hand, and it's fine. He had 1 steal to go to the 15 minute, and he had a 0 plus or minus. Now, the problem was he was on the court when he had that -11 there at the beginning. He spent the rest of the game trying to get himself back to 0. But Jalen Johnson is playing some of the best basketball of anybody in the NBA. And I think he's overcome that little lull he said, like I said, when there was the C.J. McCollum with the 33% usage rate and all that kind of stuff. And Jalen was standing over in the corner, and he had been averaging a triple-double, and all of a sudden he's getting 12 points and 5 rebounds, 1 assist. You're going, what's happening? Well, it's because he didn't have the ball enough. So like I said, somebody got the memo. We fixed that tonight. So we have had a losing streak followed by a short winning streak followed by another losing streak. And when that happens, you figure, what are we doing? Well, what we did tonight, as I said earlier, and we're going to finish with this, but what we did tonight was we leaned into our size. Generally speaking, we played good defense, except for some lineups that I don't understand. But we played good defense, generally speaking. We leaned into our size. We put the ball in our best player's hand, and we won a game on the road in the NBA. And that is fantastic. That is fantastic. Our next game is against the Phoenix Suns. So we will be back soon after that. I don't know if Russell will be back on his feet by then or not. We'll have to see. But if it's not, well, you'll have the old man again. You'll have the old man again. It is fantastic. And y'all know all the stuff that we say to like, subscribe, and all those different things that he's on, but that you can see those things. And please do all that. And like I said, he loves his podcast, and he loves talking. He loves talking about the Hawks, and he is so passionate about them because he wants them to win. But one other thing that he wants always is this. Whether they win or lose, he wants you to have a great day.